I sat at the corner of my high-rise office, the city lights painting streaks of gold and blue across the glass. My silk blouse clung softly to my shoulders, warm from the morning sun spilling through the window. My phone buzzed on the polished oak desk, and I glanced down to see a message from an unknown number. "Your ad just aired on Channel 7. Thought your parents should know." For a moment, my chest tightened. Memories of laughter and dismissive nods, back when I had pitched my business plan, flashed before my eyes. My parents had told me it was impractical, too risky, not worth the effort. They didn't just ignore me, they made me feel invisible. And yet, here I was, with my own company running nationwide campaigns, my ads flashing across televisions in living rooms that had once doubted me. I sipped my coffee, its bitterness grounding me, as a faint smile curved on my lips. Pride, yes, but also a pang of irony. I had kept my success hidden, shared only selective glimpses on social media, just enough to keep them unaware. And now, fate, or maybe someone else, was about to confront them with the truth. I adjusted the papers on my desk, feeling the crisp texture, my heart thrumming with a quiet thrill. This wasn't revenge, it was vindication. And for the first time in years, I felt a sense of calm excitement, knowing the moment of reckoning was approaching. I was 22, sitting at the kitchen table with my parents, my laptop open and a folder of charts and notes spread before me. My heart raced, my hands trembling slightly as I clicked through my business plan slides. I could feel the lump in my throat forming, the words catching in my chest before I even started speaking. "I really think this could work," I said, trying to steady my voice. "I've researched the market, calculated costs, and—" My father interrupted, shaking his head, his fingers drumming impatiently on the table. "Sarah, this is unrealistic. You don't have the experience. Start a normal job first, like everyone else." My mother sighed, a mixture of worry and irritation. "We just want you to be safe. You're too young to risk everything on an idea that might fail." I felt my cheeks burn with a mixture of hurt and frustration. The room, once familiar and safe, suddenly seemed cold and distant. I wanted to scream, to make them understand, but instead, I shut my laptop with a soft click. My dreams felt tiny, crushed under the weight of their doubt. I looked down at the small silver locket my grandmother had given me the week before graduation. "Believe in yourself," she had whispered. "Even if the world doesn't, you must." I touched it now, tracing the delicate engraving with my finger, drawing courage from her words. That night, alone in my apartment, I made a choice. I would try. No, I would fight. I didn't need their approval. I needed my own conviction. I would build my business, step by step, and show the world, including them, what I was capable of. I spent that week drafting budgets, contacting mentors, and sketching out a plan that didn't rely on anyone else's support. Every setback stung. Every no felt like a mirror reflecting my doubts, but I clung to that locket, to my grandmother's words, as a reminder that I had the strength to carve my own path. And in that quiet, solitary resolve, I realized this was my life, my dream, my fight, and no one, not even my parents, would define the limits of what I could achieve. The first months were grueling. My apartment became a makeshift office, the faint hum of my laptop and the rustle of papers my constant companions. I had no safety net, no family support, and every night I fell asleep to the lingering taste of uncertainty. But I also had something stronger than fear: determination. I found a mentor, an accomplished woman named Claire Thompson, who saw potential in me when the world, including my family, hadn't. She taught me the subtle intricacies of marketing campaigns, how to negotiate with clients without fear, how to present ideas with clarity and confidence. Claire's office smelled faintly of leather and coffee, a comforting mix that soon became my second home. "You're capable, Sarah. Don't let anyone else write your story," she said one late evening as we reviewed ad mock-ups. The learning curve was steep. I spent long nights poring over analytics, experimenting with design, and negotiating my first few contracts. I wrestled with self-doubt constantly, questioning whether I could really compete with seasoned professionals. Yet every small win became a fuel. My first client paid on time. My first successful ad campaign received praise, and slowly, I began seeing a future I had once only dared imagine. I kept my progress hidden from my parents. On social media, I posted occasional, vague updates, a coffee in hand, a blurred background of meetings, never revealing the full picture. They saw only fragments, never the long nights, the rejections, the tiny victories that built the foundation of my success. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing that when the time came, I would present them not just with results, but with undeniable proof of my achievements. Every day brought lessons. I learned to navigate the subtle biases of the industry, to stand firm when clients doubted a young woman, to trust my instincts when decisions were risky. With each campaign, my confidence grew, and my company slowly morphed from a modest startup into a recognizable brand. And then came the first major breakthrough, a regional ad campaign for a client that reached multiple states. Seeing our billboard designs displayed on busy streets, watching ads play on TV during prime time, I felt a thrill that mixed disbelief with pride. I had done it. All those moments of dismissal, all those times my parents had rolled their eyes, had led me here. In those quiet moments, alone in my office, I would touch the silver locket my grandmother had given me years ago. It reminded me of my journey, of the woman I had become, not defined by anyone else's approval, but forged by resilience, creativity, and relentless determination. I was no longer the girl who had begged for validation. I was a woman who had built something real, something lasting, something that even my doubters couldn't ignore. And yet, I held my triumphs close, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal the truth. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon when they arrived, my parents stepping into my office with that familiar mix of curiosity and skepticism. They had expected a small, modest startup, maybe a few minor wins, but nothing that could rival their imagination. I greeted them with a calm smile, the kind that hid every ounce of anticipation bubbling beneath my composed exterior. "Sarah," my mother began, her voice hesitant, as she scanned the room. I had meticulously designed every corner of this office to reflect my journey, modern art pieces I had personally commissioned, awards from marketing competitions lining the shelves, sleek furniture that spoke of both taste and success. My desk, polished and uncluttered, held nothing unnecessary, except for the silver locket resting in the corner, a silent nod to the past. My father's eyes flicked to the large screen on the wall, which happened to be looping one of my most recent national campaigns. The TV showed a primetime ad for our latest client, the same one that had made headlines in marketing journals. His eyebrows shot up, disbelief etched across his face. Is that?" he stammered. I let the silence stretch for a moment, watching them absorb the full picture. The carefully curated branding, the professionalism in every visual, the undeniable proof of my achievements. Then I spoke, my voice steady but warm. "Yes, that's my company. That's my ad airing nationwide. My business plan, the one you dismissed, the one you told me wouldn't work, has not only succeeded, it's thriving. I own every part of it." My mother's hands clutched the edge of a chair, her lips pressed tight. My father leaned back, eyes wide, as if trying to reconcile the confident woman standing before him with the daughter they had underestimated for years. I watched the mixture of shock, guilt, and awe play across their faces, each reaction a mirror reflecting the doubts and dismissals of the past. "I didn't tell you because I wanted to build this on my own," I continued, choosing my words with care. "I wanted to prove, not just to you, but to myself, that I could succeed without permission, without validation. Every campaign, every client, every ad you see on TV, they're the results of hard work, sleepless nights, and learning to trust my own instincts." They remained silent, letting the truth settle in. I could see the flash of regret in my mother's eyes and the sudden realization in my father's posture. They had underestimated me, and now the evidence was undeniable. Finally, I smiled softly, holding up the silver locket for them to see. "Remember this? My grandmother gave it to me years ago. She told me to believe in myself, even when others didn't. I did. And here we are." The weight of the past hung heavy in the room, but it no longer constrained me. The girl who had been dismissed, whose ideas had been ignored, had grown into a woman who didn't just speak success, she embodied it. And now, finally, the world and my parents could see it too. The room was heavy with tension, but this time, the balance had shifted. I no longer needed their approval or validation, they needed mine, or at least my acknowledgement. I let them take in the office one last time, letting the reality of my success sink in. Then I spoke, calm but firm. "I'm willing to support you both, but things need to change," I said. My father's jaw tightened, my mother's eyes darted nervously, but they listened. This isn't about punishment. It's about growth, accountability, and respect. I've worked too hard, and I won't allow old patterns to repeat. I started with my father. "You've always been practical, cautious, protective. I understand that. But dismissing my ideas, underestimating me, it had a cost. If you want to be part of my world, you need to acknowledge my independence, support my decisions, and drop the habit of undermining anyone younger or less experienced. No more doubts as default. Commit to learning about what I do and why it matters." My father's shoulders stiffened, but he nodded slowly. Then I turned to my mother. "You worry, and that's natural. But your constant insistence on safety over ambition held me back. If you want to reconnect, you need to respect my choices, allow me to make mistakes, and pursue something of your own passion, not just what you think is safe. Support can't mean control." They exchanged glances, hesitant but attentive. Finally, I addressed the underlying dynamic between us. "I want honesty, openness, and curiosity, not judgment. If you want a relationship with me now, it has to be built on trust, not past assumptions. I care about you both, but I won't bend to the same patterns that stifled me for years. This is non-negotiable." Their reactions were a mix of relief, shame, and understanding. The shift was subtle but undeniable. The girl they once ignored was now the woman setting the terms. And yet, there was compassion in my tone. I wasn't pushing them away, I was inviting them in, but on a path of accountability. I paused, letting my words settle, and added softly, "I've grown through the hardships you didn't believe in, and I want you to grow too. But growth requires effort. I'll help, but only if you commit to changing." They nodded again, this time more fully. I could see it. The spark of acceptance, a willingness to shed old habits and embrace the new dynamic. This was more than just business triumph. It was an emotional reckoning, a redefinition of our family. And as I looked at them, I realized how far we had all come. The power wasn't about money or ads on TV. It was about establishing boundaries, respect, and mutual growth. I had earned it, and now I offered it as a bridge, not a wall. For the first time in years, the air between us felt lighter, charged with the potential for real connection. And I knew, deep down, that this was just the beginning. Weeks passed, and subtle changes began to unfold. My parents approached me differently now. Conversations were no longer laced with judgment, but curiosity and genuine interest. My father started asking questions about my campaigns, even offering insights from his own experience in finance, while my mother enrolled in a creative writing class she had always dreamed of taking. They were learning to support without controlling, to celebrate without undermining, and I felt a quiet pride in their willingness to grow. I, too, reflected on my journey, the hurt of being dismissed, the nights of uncertainty, the countless moments of doubt. They had all shaped me into someone stronger, more resilient, and unshakably determined. The girl who once hesitated to pitch her ideas to her parents had transformed into a woman commanding her own life, with the confidence to stand firm and the grace to guide others toward change. One evening, I held the silver locket in my hand, the same one my grandmother had given me so many years ago. Its delicate chain felt familiar, a reminder of the seed of belief she had planted within me. I traced the engraving, remembering her words, "Believe in yourself, even if the world doesn't." I realized that belief had carried me through rejection, doubt, and struggle, and had now brought me to a place where I could both succeed and extend compassion. Sitting by the window, Watching the sunset cast golden streaks across the city, I smiled. The office that had once symbolized my secret struggle now symbolized triumph and balance, not just for me, but for my family as well. My parents' journey toward understanding and growth was ongoing, but the foundation was solid, built on mutual respect and acknowledgement. I knew that success was not simply measured in ads on television or the numbers in my accounts. It was measured in the courage to pursue one's dreams, the strength to rise despite rejection, and the ability to transform relationships through patience, clarity, and love. And as I looked out at the skyline, I whispered to myself, quietly and confidently, the words that had guided me through every challenge. I am enough. I am capable. I am unstoppable.